So, good day everyone. I am Crystal Kyla Daniel and together with Mr. Harl James Alcaraz, we will gonna discuss iron oxide copper gold deposits or simply IOCG deposits. So next, so on this video, we will discuss the IOCG deposits. We will explore its characteristics or genesis, the deposition of ores, case studies, and exploration and mining of these deposits. So first, let's understand what IOCG deposits are. So IOCG deposits are a class of hydrothermal mineral deposits rich in iron oxides or magnetite or hematite and economic concentrations of copper, gold, and sometimes uranium and rare earth elements or REEs. So IOCG deposits are rich in copper, gold, and iron and are formed through hydrothermal processes. They are found in tectonically active regions with extensive hydrothermal alteration. So, merong ibang deposits who shares some similarities to IOCG deposits. And paano nga ba natin siya differentiate sa ibang deposits? So, on the next slide, malalaman natin kung paano nakarakterize ang IOCG deposits. So, IOCG deposits are a diverse family of mineral deposits characterized by the following features. It has copper ore without gold as economic metals, hydrothermal ore styles and strong structural controls, abundant magnetite and or hematite. It has iron oxides with iron or titanium greater than those in most igneous rocks, and it has no clear spatial associations with igneous intrusions as for example displayed by porphyry and skarn ore deposits. So next. So now let's take a look at why IOCG deposits are important in our economy. So they are a major sources of copper and gold, often containing uranium and rare earth elements. So for example, the Olympic Dam in Australia is one of the largest IOCG deposits in the world and a key mine for copper, gold, uranium, and silver. So because of this, IOCG deposits are essential to global mining and metal production. And in terms of industrial applications, they are used in electronics, infrastructures, manufacturing, and even renewable energy technologies. So without these metals, many of the modern advancement we rely on would not be possible. So another major benefit of IOCG deposits or of any deposits is job creation. The mining and processing of these deposits create employment opportunities and boost economic growth, especially in regions where these resources are abundant. So many of the metals in IOCG deposits are considered critical commodities, meaning they are essential for both economic stability and national security. So countries with access to these resources have a strategic advantage in industrial and technological development. So in summary, IOCG deposits are not just geological formations na andyan lang. They are economic powerhouses. They drive industries, create jobs, and provide critical materials needed for modern technology and infrastructure. So next is, let's see where IOCG deposits are found. So IOCG deposits are not limited sa isang region lang. They occur in different parts of the world. Some of the most well-known IOCG belts include Australia, with major deposits like Olympic Dam and Prominent Hill, Chile, the home to Candelaria, Brazil, where the Salobo deposit is located. So additionally, these deposits are also found in Peru, Sweden, Canada, and the USA. So makikita natin sa map, IOCG provinces are distributed across various continents. Hindi lang siya sa isang kontinente lang. Now, let's discuss their key characteristics. So, IOCG deposits are defined by their unique minerals composition, host rocks, and alteration patterns. So, in mineral composition, The mineral composition of IOCG deposits is distinctive due to the presence of iron oxides, copper-bearing sulfides, gold, and alteration minerals. These minerals define the deposit's economic potential and exploration indicators. So one of the defining features of the IOCG deposits is their mineral composition. So sabi dyan na it is characterized by the presence of iron oxide, which is nagko-contribute to their high iron content, copper-bearing sulfides making them economically valuable, gold and alteration minerals which serve as exploration indicators. So next naman is the host rock. So understanding the host rock of IOCG deposits influence their formation, mineralization, and their overall economic worth. So understanding the host rock composition help geologists or iba pang tao na associated sa mining to assess the viability of these deposits for mining. So last general characteristic is the common alteration assemblage. The alteration assemblages in IOCG deposits are essential for understanding their formation, exploration potential, and economic significance. These deposits exhibit distinctive alteration patterns due to hydrothermal fluid interaction with host rocks. So next, ang mineral composition ng IOCG deposits ay may 3 types. Ito ay ang ore mineral, gang minerals, and alteration minerals. Now, let's take a closer look at the ore minerals na makikita natin sa IOCG deposits. So, meron tayong chalcopyrite and bornite, the primary copper sulfide mineral. So, it makes IOCG deposits an important source of copper. So, next is the native gold. This occurs either as free gold or within sulfide minerals, adding to the deposit's economic value. So last is the uranium oxides. So some IOCG deposits, such as Olympic Dam, contain significant uranium concentrations, making them valuable for multiple industries beyond copper and gold. So these are the ore minerals of IOCG deposits: the chalcopyrite, bornite, native gold, and uranium oxides. Now, let's look at the non-economic or gang minerals commonly found in IOCG deposits. So we have hematite and magnetite, which are major IOCG indicators due to their high iron content. Next is quartz, feldspar, and carbonate minerals. So these minerals are often found in hydrothermal alteration zones and help people understand the deposit's history. So these are the gang minerals: the hematite, magnetite, quartz, and feldspar. So last type in mineral composition is the alteration minerals. So alteration minerals provide clues about the formation and evolution of IOCG deposits. And here are some key indicators. We have biotite and K-feldspar. These minerals are associated with potassic alteration, typically found in high-grade zones. Next is the albite, indicates sodic alteration, which often occurs in deeper parts of the system. And last is the chlorite. It is commonly found in peripheral and late-stage alteration zones. So these are the gang minerals. We have biotite, K-feldspar, albite, and chlorite. So, balik naman tayo sa isang pang general characteristics ng IOCG deposits, which is the host rock. So, host rock, it influenced the movement of mineral-rich fluids and formation of ore bodies and the economic value of the deposit. Now, tingnan naman natin yung mga specific rock types that host IOCG deposit. First is the igneous and metamorphic rocks. So IOCG deposits are commonly found in 2 major types of rocks. which is yung intrusive igneous rocks and volcanic igneous rocks. So first is felsic to intermediate intrusive rocks. These include granites, diorites, and tonalites. So yung mga rocks na yon, they provide the necessary chemical environment for ore formation and often have fractures and faults na nag-a-allow to mineralized fluids to circulate. So next naman is yung volcanic rocks. We have andesites and basalts as examples. So some IOCG deposits are also found in volcanic environments. So rocks like andesites and basalts na nabanggit ko ay may structural weaknesses na nag-aalaw ng mineral-rich fluids to migrate and deposit valuable ores. So ang volcanic rocks ay crucial for fluid movement and ore deposition. So next naman for host rock is the fault zones and shear zones. So bakit nga ba importante ito sa IOCG deposit? So it is the conduits for hydrothermal fluids. So IOCG deposits are often associated with major fault systems and shear zones which act as a conduits for hydrothermal fluids, meaning ito ang pathways for hydrothermal fluids allowing them to circulate deep within the Earth's crust. So isa pang reason is the deposition of minerals. So these structural settings allow for metal-bearing fluids to penetrate and deposit copper, gold, and iron oxide. So these deposits form when the fluids cool down or react with surrounding rocks, leaving behind economically significant mineralization. So for the last part of host rock, we have geological settings. So although IOCG deposits can form in a variety of environment, they share some key geological characteristics. So let's see kung ano yung common features nila. We have proximity to an Archean craton. So maraming IOCG deposits na makikita near ancient stable crustal blocks called Archean cratons, which provide a strong structural foundation for mineralization. So next naman is its extensional settings. So these deposits often form in regions experiencing tectonic extension such as intracratonic basin, continental arcs, reef structures, and regional scale fault zones. So next is the magmatic influence of I-type granites. So the presence of A-type or anorogenic or I-type igneous granites with intermediate to mafic compositions suggest a long-lived magmatic system which provides heat and fluids essential for mineralization. So next geological setting is the structural control of the mineralization. So faults and shear zones guide fluid movement, controlling where and how metals like copper, gold, and iron oxides are deposited. So next is the oxidized settings. The chemistry of the environment is oxidized, which helps in the precipitation of iron oxide and associated metals. And last geological setting is the extensive brecciation. So brecciation occurs due to faulting or mechanical brecciation and hydrothermal activity or chemical brecciation. So this process enhances fluid flow and creates open spaces for ore deposits. So the last characteristic of IOCG deposits is the alteration assemblages. So it refers to the mineral changes that occur in rocks due to hydrothermal fluid interactions. So in IOCG deposits, these alterations are key indicators of ore formation and metal transport. So one of the most important alteration types in IOCG deposits is potassic alteration. So potassic alteration is associated with high temperature hydrothermal fluids, typically found near the ore zone and indicating metal-rich fluid activity. So it involves the introduction of potassium-rich minerals such as K, feldspar, and biotite into the host rock. So next is the sodic alteration. It suggests deep-seated hydrothermal alteration often forming in early mineralization stages and influencing fluid pathways. So sodic alteration occurs when hydrothermal fluids introduce sodium into the rock, replacing existing minerals with sodium-rich minerals like albite. So nangyayari ito at deep levels within the Earth's crust. So it often forms in the early stages of mineralization, preparing the system for later ore deposition. So last alteration assemblages is the iron oxide alteration. So a hallmark of IOCG deposits, this alteration type signifies intense hydrothermal fluid activity and acts as an exploration guide for potential ore zones. So yung iron oxide alteration, nag-occur siya when hydrothermal fluids introduce and concentrate iron oxides. So primarily in the form of hematite and magnetite within the host rocks. So next is for the global distribution of IOCG deposits. We have here the specific tectonic settings where these valuable mineral systems are found. So IOCG deposits are found in major metallogenic provinces. So these deposits occur in a wide range of geological terrains from Precambrian to Phanerozoic eras. They are often associated with regions that have experienced extensive hydrothermal activity over geologic time. So some of the notable IOCG-rich regions include Australia, South America, Canada, Sweden, and the USA. So next, global distribution of IOCG deposit is the associated with specific tectonic settings. So IOG deposits are not randomly distributed. They are linked to specific geological environments where the right conditions for ore formation exist. So these deposits form in continental rift settings, magmatic arc, and orogenic belts where deep-seated heat source drive hydrothermal circulation. So these are the example of IOCG deposits. We have Olympic Dam in Australia. It is the largest known IOCG deposit globally and contains significant amount of copper, gold, uranium, and rare earth elements. So the deposit is hosted in Proterozoic granite and breccia systems and is associated with extensive hydrothermal alteration. So the next picture is the Candelaria in Chile. So this is a major copper-gold deposit located in the Chilean Andes. It is known for its high copper and gold grades, making it a key contributor to Chile's mining industry. So Candelaria is associated with magnetite and hematite alteration, indicating strong hydrothermal activity and fluid movement through structural controls like faults and fractures. So the third picture is the Salobo in Brazil. It is the largest IOCG deposit in the Amazon Craton. So Salobo is rich in copper and gold and is hosted in Archean age metamorphic rock. So it is characterized by intense hydrothermal alteration and strong structural controls, similar to other IOCG systems. So its mineralization includes iron oxides, chalcopyrite, and gold, making it an important mining project in South America. So this is the map showing the geographical occurrence of IOCG deposits. So, next is, there are different types of IOCG deposit. So, now let's identify them. So, according to the Geological Survey of Canada, there are several types of IOCG deposits including Olympic Dam type, Cloncurry type, Kiruna type, Iron Skarn type, Phalaborwa type, and Bayan Obo type. So each has unique characteristics based on mineral content and geological setting. So for instance, Olympic Dam has a high rhenium and REE, whereas the Kiruna type is rich in magnetite. So isa-isahin natin siya. First is the Olympic Dam type. So what is the Olympic Dam type? It is characterized by magnetite, hematite, bornite, chalcopyrite mineralization within breccia system. So these deposits typically have high iron, copper, gold, silver, REE, and uranium content. So these deposits are hosted in breccia systems, which are fractured rock formation that allow metal-bearing fluids to circulate and deposit minerals. So yung makikita nating mineral dito ay magnetite, hematite, bornite, and chalcopyrite. So the best known example of this deposit is the Olympic Dam in Australia. So nabanggit ko kanina na it is one of the largest IOCG deposits in the world. So next type of IOCG deposit is the Cloncurry type. It is hosted in breccias, veins, and strata-bound zones with magnetite, hematite, apatite mineralization replaced by copper, iron, sulfides, gold, and associated elements. So these deposits are commonly hosted in breccias, veins, and strata-bound zones. Unlike sa ibang IOCG types, Cloncurry deposits often show progression of mineral replacement where iron oxides are later substituted by sulfide minerals. So this is the well-known example of this IOCG deposit. It is the Osborne Copper Gold Project in Queensland, Australia. So it is located in the Cloncurry district. The Osborne deposit is a significant producer of copper and gold. So next type of IOCG deposits is the Kiruna type. It is defined by massive magnetite, apatite, actinolite mineralization, typically forming tabular, pipe-like, or irregular ore bodies. So they are dominated by magnetite, often accompanied by apatite and actinolite. Unlike sa ibang types of IOCG deposits, these deposits lack significant copper and gold. The ore bodies typically form tabular pipe-like or irregular shapes, making them different from vein or breccia-hosted deposits. So the most famous example of a Kiruna type deposit is the Kirunavaara mine, Kiruna, Sweden. So it is one of the world's largest and most well-known iron ore deposits. Next type of IOCG deposit is the iron skarn type. It is characterized by massive magnetite, garnet, pyroxene mineralization, forming lensoid and strata-bound deposits commonly with minor iron and copper and gold. So it is formed through the interaction of intrusive magmatic fluids with surrounding carbonate-rich rocks, leading to the formation of metal-rich assemblages. So these deposits contain massive magnetite, garnet, and pyroxene, which are key skarn minerals. So a well-known example of this deposit type is the Magnitogorsk, Urals, Eurasia. So this deposit has been a significant iron producer for decades. So next is the Phalaborwa type. It includes copper-bearing magnetite, apatite, fluorite, deposits with additional REE, PGE, and trace elements such as uranium, zircon, Se, and Te. So these are complex mineral systems that contain copper-bearing iron oxides along with a diverse suite of rare elements. So these deposits are composed of magnetite, apatite, fluorite, forming large economically significant ore bodies. So unlike other IOCG types, Phalaborwa deposits are enriched with REEs and platinum group elements or PGEs and trace metals. So a prime example of this deposit type is the Phalaborwa mine, Phalaborwa, South Africa. So it is one of the world's largest copper and phosphate deposits. So the last type of IOCG deposits is the Bayan Obo type. It is enriched in Fe, Nb, and REE, featuring magnetite, hematite, bastnäsite, fluorite, and monazite mineralization within strata-bound lenses, veins, and layers. So it is known for its vast reserves of iron oxides and rare elements hosted in a variety of geological formations. So these deposits contain magnetite, hematite, which are key iron-bearing minerals. So the most famous example of this deposit type is the Bayan Obo, China. So it is the largest rare earth element deposits in the world. So to summarize yung mga types of IOCG deposits, we have here the table of its summary. So makikita natin yung type, giant ore deposit, the mineralization of each types, kung anong klaseng alteration sila, yung mga commodity, and ore body. So now, let's examine the geological settings where they commonly occur. So it is the occurrences of IOCG deposits. So IOCG deposits are typically found in tectonically active regions, nabanggit ko kanina. So they can form in Archean and Proterozoic greenstone belts, intracratonic basins and drift zones, orogenic belts and subduction-related magmatic arcs, and continental collision zones. So first is the Archean and Proterozoic greenstone belts. These are ancient volcanic sedimentary terrains rich in mafic and felsic igneous rocks. So they contain multiple IOCG-related deposits due to prolonged hydrothermal fluid circulation and metamorphic activity. So bakit nga ba ang IOCG ay nag-o-occur sa greenstone belts? Because of its ancient hydrothermal systems, metamorphic influence, diverse rock composition, and its tectonic activity. So, example nito is yung sa Sweden, Finland, and Canada. So, next occurrences of IOCG deposits is the intracratonic basins and drift zones. These are sedimentary basins influenced by deep mantle activity leading to iron-rich fluid upwelling. So IOCG deposits form along rift margins where faults act as fluid conduits. So IOCG deposits form in these areas due to unique geological processes that enhance metal enrichment. So the iron-rich fluid upwelling and the fault control mineralization. So intracratonic basins and drift zones provide deep structural pathways for iron-rich hydrothermal fluids. So faults and fractures in this region help form large IOCG deposits. So example of this is the Olympic Dam in Australia and the Salobo, Brazil in South America. So next is the orogenic belts and shear zones. These deposits form in tectonically active mountain building regions where crustal compression creates faults and shear zones. So fluid migration along deep-seated shear zones facilitates IOCG mineralization. So, orogenic belts and shear zones are created by tectonic compression and faulting. So, these regions provide fluid pathways that facilitate IOCG mineralization. So, example is the IOCG deposits in northern Sweden and parts of Canada. So, next is the subduction-related magmatic arcs. So, some IOCG deposits are linked to subduction zone magmatism, where metal-rich fluids are released from melting oceanic plates. High heat flow promotes magnetite and copper-gold deposition. So, subduction-related magmatic arcs produce metal-rich fluids leading to IOCG formation, and high heat flow enhances magnetite, copper, and gold mineralization. So, example of this is the Candelaria in Chile and IOCG deposits in Peru. So, last occurrences of IOCG deposits is the continental collision in regions like Fennoscandian Shield in Sweden and Finland. IOCG deposits formed due to continent-continent collisions, which caused extensive metamorphic and magmatic fluid mobilization. So, these deposits are often re-enriched in REEs. These settings promote fluid migration and metal deposition through metamorphism and magmatic activity. So, continental collision zones create high-pressure metamorphic conditions that promote fluid migration and metal deposition. So, many IOCG deposits in these regions are enriched in REEs, making them economically valuable. So, now, let's understand the process of their formation. So, IOCG deposits form through a combination of magmatic hydrothermal and tectonic processes. So, first, magmatic intrusion acts as heat source. Second, hot mineral-rich fluids migrate through fractures and faults. And finally, when these fluids encounter cooler water or undergo chemical reactions, metal precipitation occurs, forming the ore deposits. And to furtherly understand, let's discuss the formation of each type of IOCG deposits one by one. First is the Olympic dam type. So, paano nga ba siya nabubuo? So, it forms, first, the felsic magmatism or granites provides heat and releases hydrothermal fluids rich in iron, copper, gold, and uranium. Next is the faulting and brecciation create open spaces for fluids to circulate and deposit iron oxides. Early potassic alteration develops around the breccia zones. Next is high temperature fluids deposit hematite and magnetite, forming an iron-rich core. So as the system cools, chalcopyrite, bornite, and gold precipitate, followed by uranium enrichment. And the late-stage hydrothermal fluids introduce additional sulfides, upgrading metal content. So, to summarize, makikita natin siya dito sa slide. It is forms in breccia-hosted systems with intense potassic alteration. Early stage iron oxide deposition is followed by copper-gold mineralization, and it is associated with felsic magmatism and deep crustal fluid mixing. So next is the formation of Cloncurry type. So first, magmatism generates high-temperature fluids that circulate through fractured rocks. So fluids move along shear zones, faults, and breccias, depositing magnetite, hematite. So copper sulfides, which is the chalcopyrite or bornite, precipitate as fluids cool. Gold is introduced in later hydrothermal events. So over time, hematite and magnetite are partially replaced by copper iron sulfides. So Ito, mababasa natin sa slide. It is hosted in breccias, veins, and strata-bound zones with strong structural controls. Fluids are derived from metamorphic and magmatic sources. Mineralization occurs in multiple stages with early iron oxide deposition followed by copper-gold precipitation. So next is the formation of Kiruna type. So the iron-rich magmas form in subduction zones generating metal-rich fluid. So high-temperature fluids deposit magnetite, apatite, and actinolite forming massive magnetite bodies. And lastly is some areas experience copper-gold overprinting as fluid reacts with host rocks. So to summarize that, nandito sa slide is, it is characterized by massive magnetite, apatite, actinolite mineralization. It forms from high temperature iron-rich hydrothermal fluids and it is commonly associated with subduction-related magmatism. So next formation processes is the iron skarn type. So paano siya nabubuo? So first, the magma intrudes limestone or dolomite triggering chemical reactions. So next is yung fluid, it dissolves carbonate and replace it with iron oxide, garnet, and pyroxene. Tapos, yung sulfide-bearing fluids naman is ma-introduce niya yung chalcopyrite, gold, and other minerals. So, it develops in carbonate rocks through metasomatic processes characterized by massive magnetite, garnet, pyroxene mineralization, and it is associated with hydrothermal activity linked to igneous intrusions. So next formation process is the process of Falla-Borwa type. So first, the magma enriched in REE, PGE, and copper ascend from deep sources. So after that, the fluids alter surrounding rocks, forming albite, K-feldspar assemblages. So last is the precipitation of chalcopyrite, magnetite, fluorite, and apatite. Yun na yung last na mangyayari. So ito siya, yung nasa slide. Related to alkaline and carbonatite intrusions, features extensive sodic and potassic alteration, and it contains copper-bearing magnetite, apatite, fluorite, and mineralization. So last type is the Bayan-Obo type. Paano nga ba siya nabubuo? So first, the mantle-derived fluid enriched in iron, niobium, and rare earth elements migrate upwards. So nag-migrate sila upwards. Next is yung REE minerals and iron oxide, nagpe-precipitate sila in layers. And later, fluids modify the deposit upgrading REE concentrations. So ito siya, forms in strata-bound lenses, veins, and layers, enriched in iron, rare earth elements, REE, and niobium, and it is associated with deep crustal magmatism and hydrothermal alteration. So, next naman, since alam na natin kung paano siya nabubuo, ano yung mga key factors in IOCG or formation? So, we have three main factors influence IOCG formation. First is a heat source from magmatic intrusions. Second is fluid migration. And third is the precipitation mechanism. So first, dito muna tayo sa heat sources. So it is the magmatic intrusions provide the heat necessary for hydrothermal circulation. So, this intrusion generate high-temperature fluids that dissolve metals from surrounding rocks and transport them through the crust. So, the presence of felsic to intermediate igneous rocks near IOCG deposits suggests a strong link between magmatism and ore foundation. So, bakit nga ba nagmamatter ang heat source sa IOCG ore formation? First, it provides the thermal energy necessary to create and sustain a mineralizing hydrothermal system. Next, it helps geologists or yung mga taong involved sa mining to identify areas with potential IOCG deposits by locating igneous intrusions in tectonically active regions. So next key factor in IOCG or formation is the fluid migration. It is a hot metal-rich fluids move through fractures, faults, and permeable zones carrying metals to deposition sites. So it is the main transport mechanism for ore forming metals. So tectonic activity such as continental rifting and subduction enhances fluid movement by creating pathways sa mga deep-seated fluids to rise and interact with host rock. So the interaction between mantle-derived fluids and sa crustal rocks plays a critical role in metal enrichment. So bakit nga ba siya nagmamatter sa ore formation? So first, it identifies structural controls on IOCG deposits such as shear zones and fault networks where metal-rich fluids accumulate. Next is mahe-help niya yung mga taong involved to predict where mineral-rich hydrothermal systems may have deposited ore bodies. So next, last key factors in IOCG formation is the precipitation mechanism. So metals precipitate due to changes in temperature, pressure, or fluid chemistry. So example given is the pH drop and oxidation. So we have precipitation triggers. We have cooling of fluids. Dito, it lowers metal solubility causing deposition. So next is the mixing with cooler groundwater. This creates chemical reactions leading to metal precipitation. So last precipitation triggers is the changes in pH or oxidation state. So it affects the solubility of copper, gold, and iron oxides leading to selective deposition. So bakit siya nagmamatter? First, it helps people na involved to understand why certain areas contain high ore zones while other remain barren. So makikita nila kung bakit ito ba high grade ore zones, yung iba barren, hindi kailangan. So next is to provide insight into ore body geometry and metal zonation, which aids in mining and processing strategies. So next, for the deposition of ores in IOCG deposits, this will be discussed by Mr. Harold James Alcaraz.
First is deposition of ores in IOCG deposit. First is magmatic segregation and ore deposition. Magmatic segregation is a geological process in which valuable minerals are concentrated through the cooling and crystallization of magma, specifically in IOCG deposit. Early formed minerals such as magnetite precipitate from the cooling of magma and settle due to their higher density, contributing to the initial concentration of iron, copper, and gold during later hydrothermal stages. These minerals act as conduits for subsequent hydrothermal fluids that are rich in metals, which are leached from the surrounding country rocks during fluid ascent. This dual-stage process emphasizes the role of magmatic fluid, which leach metal from deeper sources and transport them towards the surface where they can precipitate as ore through interaction with more oxidized fluids. In many cases, the mineralization patterns observed in IOCG deposits indicate that multiple magmatic and hydrothermal episodes are involved, in each contributing to the complexity of the deposit's structure, and this layering of mineralization highlights a dynamic system where different fluids, temperature fluctuations, and chemical interaction lead to varying metal grades and compositions, complicating the models used for exploration and extraction. Next, Structural controls on IOCG deposits. So the structural characteristics of IOCG deposits are largely influenced by the tectonic setting, which can affect fluid flow paths and mineralization size. These deposits typically form near significant structure features such as faults and shear zones, which can serve as conduits of mineralized fluids, and the interaction between migrating fluids and host rocks during and after deposition of minerals creates an array of structural contents for IOCG formation. Furthermore, the patterns of mineralizations are commonly dictated by fault systems who have developed in response to regional tectonic stresses, and these faults often play a critical role on ascent of mineral-laden fluids, which exploit pre-existing weakness in rock to find their way to the surface. This complicates the geological landscape and leads to the formation of varied deposit types, including those that are strongly controlled by natural events versus those influenced more by stratigraphic consideration. Next is chemical control in IOCG deposit. Chemical controls are paramount in the formation of IOCG deposits, and the mineralizing fluids often exhibit distinctive chemical signatures influenced by redox condition, temperature, and specific chemical nature of host rocks. A notable characteristic of IOCG deposit is their low sulfur content, which distinguishes them from one or deposits and implies a unique fluid evolution process. So the mineralization chemistry also indicates a complex interrelationship between magmatic, meteoric, and connate water, which alters the composition of the fluid as the ascent towards the Earth's surface. Oxygen and sulfur isotopes from related minerals provide insights into redox states of these fluids, which changed throughout the development of deposit, greatly influencing types and contributions of mineral that precipitate. Understanding these chemical dynamics not only provides insight into the genetic models of IOCG deposit, but also aids in identifying potential exploration targets. By analyzing fluid inclusions and isotopic composition, geologists can infer the conditions under which the deposit form and better predict their characteristic. Next is the depositional texture of IOCG deposit. Depositional texture in IOCG deposit often vary significantly due to the multi-stage nature of their formation. Commonly observed textures include brecciation and veining, which indicate high energy fluid flows condition during deposition. The presence of massive magnetite, often associated with disseminated chalcopyrite and other sulfides, serve as a testament to the complex interplay of processes affecting mineral deposition in this deposit. Moreover, the variety of texture can provide valuable information about physical conditions during deposition, such as temperature fluctuations, fluid pressure changes, and chemical environments within which these minerals form. Detailed petrographic analysis is essential in distinguishing these textures, and by understanding their implication, researchers can gain further insights into the evolution and economic potential of a specific IOCG deposit. Next, wall rock alteration in IOCG deposit. Wall rock alteration is an essential feature of IOCG deposits, providing insights into the mineralizing process and conditions. Alteration envelopes can extend impressive distance beyond the ore bodies, characterized by a distinct mineralogical signature that develops due to the interaction with hydrothermal fluids. Typical alteration types within IOCG deposits include sodic-calcic and potassic alteration, reflecting the evolving chemistry of mineralizing environment. These alterations not only indicate mineralization but also represent potential targets for exploration, as they often coincide with higher metal grades. The study of alteration patterns allows geologists to map the extent of fluid migration and potentially predict the location of undiscovered mineralization, making this an invaluable tool in IOCG exploration strategies. Next is the gangue minerals in IOCG deposit. Gangue minerals present in IOCG deposit encompass various non-ore minerals that impact the processing and economic viability of this deposit. Common gangue minerals including quartz, clay minerals, and carbonates, which interact with the ore minerals during the extraction and processing phase. the presence of composition of gangue minerals can significantly influence the metallurgical processing strategies applied to the ore, affecting recovery rates and overall economic visibility of mining operation. So understanding the characteristic of gangue is crucial for the development of effective processing techniques. For instance, the interaction between gangue minerals and valuable metals during processing can lead to complications such as gangue overgrinding or negative impacts during flotation, thus negatively influencing the overall efficiency of the process. Next is the paragenesis, mineral formation sequence, and the paragenesis of IOCG deposits is characterized by a defined sequence of mineral formation which provides a chronological framework for understanding their genesis. Early minerals such as magnetite typically crystallize first, followed by the deposition of sulfide minerals such as chalcopyrite during the subsequent hydrothermal episodes, and this paragenetic sequence not only aids in reconstructing the conditions under which mineralization occurred but is also critical in predicting metal distribution within deposits. So, understanding the paragenetic sequence is particularly important for exploration geologists as it can guide drilling programs. By identifying the stages of mineralization, geologists can tailor their exploration techniques to target specific mineral types and enhance their chance of finding economically viable deposits. Next is the zoning of IOCG deposits. Zoning within IOCG deposits often reflects the spatial variation in mineralogy resulting from hydrothermal process. This zoning can manifest as distinct alteration surrounding mineralized zones with gradation in mineral content from the core to the peripheral areas. Recognizing this zone is vital for targeting exploration efforts and improving extraction strategies. So the zoning patterns indicate not only the mineralogical diversity present but also the evolutionary pathways taken by the mineralizing fluid, which in turn can be linked to the geological history of the area. Identifying this pattern helps geologists to assess the exploration potential of certain areas and tailor their methods accordingly. So for the next is the sequential deposition in IOCG deposits. So the sequential deposition in IOCG deposit refers to the stage introduction of mineralizing fluids that contribute to the complex layering of ore and gangue minerals. This sequential nature often results in variation in metal grades across the deposit, which can pose challenges in resource estimation and extraction but also present opportunities for discovering high-grade pockets of mineralization. So the ability to accurately characterize this sequence can have significant implication for mining operation, especially in terms of optimizing the extraction process and ensuring that higher grade ores are targeted first to maximize economic returns. Understanding the sequential nature of mineralization is critical for efficient planning and resource management in IOCG operations. Next is there are some case studies of major IOCG deposit. First is the Olympic Dam in South Australia, and it represents one of the largest and most well-studied IOCG deposits globally, containing vast quantities of copper, gold, silver, and uranium. Geologically, it is situated within the Gawler Craton, and its formation is intricately linked to magmatic process and hydrothermal activities that occurred approximately 1.6 billion years ago. The deposit itself is characterized by a complex three-dimensional geometry of dense, iron-rich mineralization, predominantly hematite and magnetite, which exhibit specific magnetic and density anomalies. Next is acquiring information about the spatial distribution of ore grade in the subsurface is essential for exploring and discovering mineral resources. Therefore, utilizing convolutional neural networks and hyperspectral data has emerged as a cutting-edge approach to estimate copper concentration in drill cores at Olympic Dam, reducing the time and expense typically associated with conventional geochemical analysis, and the integration of hyperspectral technologies resulted in a root mean squared error of only 0.48 for copper estimation along drill cores, showing showcasing its efficacy compared to traditional method. So this technological advancement could potentially streamline an exploration and assessment of IOCG deposits by allowing for more rapid and accurate determinations of ore distribution. Next is the Candelaria Punta del Cobre deposit. It is in the northern Chile and is another exemplary IOCG system that significantly enriches the global supply of copper and associated elements. This deposit hosts wealth iron, copper, and gold primarily in form of chalcopyrite, magnetite, and hematite. And the Candelaria Punta or the geological setting features a complex interplay of mafic magmatism and extensional tectonics, which have played fundamental roles in formation and concentration of mineral resources. Next, the mineralization of Candelaria has been characterized by two distinct hydrothermal pulses and initial high temperature event dominated by magnetite and later a cooling event associated with chalcopyrite deposition. This model illustrates an evolution from iron-rich to copper-rich hydrothermal fluids, which plays a critical role in understanding mineral deposition process, and the observed temperature range for mineralization process varies between 350 to 650 degrees Celsius, with the initial pulse occurring above 500 degrees Celsius, facilitating the dissolution and transport of iron, copper, and related metals. Next, we will move on the exploration and mining of IOCG deposits. First is the exploration and mining of IOCG deposit, and exploration of mining and IOCG deposit involves a sophisticated approach that integrates various techniques tailored to the geological setting. Geophysical methods, particularly magnetic and gravity surveys, plays a significant role in identifying IOCG prospects due to magnetic signatures associated with magnetite. These methods are often supplemented by geochemical assays, which examine the concentration of trace elements in soil rock samples to highlight anomalies indicative of underlying mineralization. So in addition, drilling plays a crucial role in confirming the presence of IOCG deposits. Core and reverse circulation drilling enables geologists to collect representative samples, which provide insights into the ore body size, shape, and grade distribution. Advances in drilling technology have enhanced the efficiency and accuracy of exploration efforts, allowing for better targeting of mineralized zone. Next is the exploration techniques for IOCG deposits. So geophysical methods are essential for identifying potential IOCG deposits where anomalies in magnetic and gravity data indicate the presence of mineralization, and geophysical methods play a crucial role in pinpointing IOCG deposit, primarily due to their magnetic gravity and electrical signatures. Techniques such as induced polarization and magnetotellurics are employed to obtain detailed insights into subsurface composition. Detecting anomalies in magnetic and gravity data can highlight areas of potential IOCG mineralization, making these methods invaluable in modern exploration program. So additionally, geochemical methods are including soil sampling. Soil sampling analysis can trace elements indicative of mineralization, assisting in the targeting of drilling programs. Geochemical assays can quantify elements such as copper, gold, and associated pathfinder elements, which are critical for focusing exploration efforts on the most promising areas. So furthermore, the integration of remote sensing techniques and advanced data processing has allowed explorers to compile large datasets that can reveal patterns not easily discernible through traditional exploration methods. This innovative approach has led to improved success rates in identifying new IOCG deposits and optimizing resource management. Next is the drilling techniques. So drilling remains a cornerstone technique in IOCG exploration, allowing for the direct sampling of mineralization. Core drilling is commonly employed for its ability to provide detailed geological information, while percussion drilling offers efficiency in areas where rapid assessment is necessary. Both methods are integral to confirming the presence of potentially economic minerals and extending the exploration depth. So, emerging technologies in drilling, including directional drilling and automated system, had revolutionized the exploration landscape by improving directional control and increasing recovery rates. These advancements enable mining companies to operate more efficiently while reducing environmental impacts often associated with traditional drilling practices. Next is the mining techniques for IOCG deposits. So the choice of mining technique, whether open pit or underground, significantly impacts the economics and environmental consideration of ICG operations. Open pit mining is often referred for shallower deposits due to its cost-effective and ease of access, while underground methods are employed for deeper deposits. Despite their higher operational costs, each mining methods present unique challenges requiring tailored management strategies to optimize resource extraction while minimizing impact on the surrounding of environment. Furthermore, mining techniques must also consider safety protocols and sustainability practices, as the impacts of mining operation can have long-lasting effects on natural ecosystems. So the incorporation of environmentally responsible practices and rehabilitation strategies is becoming increasingly crucial to ensure the mining operation maintain their social license to operate. Next is open pit versus underground mining. So the decision between open pit and underground mining for IOCG deposits depends on several factors, including the depth of the deposits and the environmental impact and economic condition. Open pit mining is generally more efficient and safer, with lower operation costs and reduced safety risks associated with less labor-intensive operation. Conversely, underground mining, although more costly, allows from extraction of deeper ores while minimizing surface disruption and preserving surface habitats. However, both methods carry in inherent risks and environmental consideration. Open pit mines generate significant amounts of waste and can alter local landscape dramatically, demanding careful planning and mitigation strategies to minimize ecological damage. Conversely, underground mining may produce more concentrated waste material that require effective management to prevent contamination of surrounding areas. So, challenges in mining IOCG deposits. Although IOCG deposits are economically significant, their exploration and extraction pose notable challenges. These challenges include the depth of deposit, which often requires sophisticated drilling and mining techniques, as well as environmental concerns regarding water usage and landscape alteration. Additionally, securing a social license to operate is essential for the long-term success of mining projects, necessitating engagement with local communities. So, water management is another pressing issue, especially in arid regions where IOCG deposits are frequently found. The extraction process can strain available freshwater resources, leading to the competition between mining operations and local communities. Moreover, the management of tailings from mining operations presents significant environmental risks. Acid rock drainage, or ARD, from sulfide minerals can contaminate local waterways and pose challenges for remediation efforts. So, simultaneously, the inflation of global demand for metals, particularly copper and gold, is increasing pressure of mining operation to enhance production while also maintaining sustainable practices. Thus, proactively addressing these operational challenges through innovative technology and community engagement is crucial for the success of longevity of IOCG mining operations. For the conclusion, in summary, iron oxide copper gold, or IOCG deposit represents a critical component of global mineral resource landscape, distinguished by their significant economic potential and complex geological formation process. So, the unique characteristic of IOCG deposits, such as their association with iron oxide and variability in geological settings, underscore their importance in the mining sector. The interplay of magmatic segregation, structural controls, and hydrothermal alteration directly influence the nature and distribution of this deposit, establishing a multifaceted relationship between geological process and mineralization. Moreover, the exploration of IOCG deposit leverages advanced techniques and including geophysical and geochemical methods to enhance the accuracy of identifying and assessing these valuable resources. Understanding the distinct depositional texture, paragenesis, and zoning of IOCG deposit provides essential insights into their formation and aids in predicting new occurrences elsewhere. Further, future exploration efforts are likely to incorporate even more sophisticated technologies, improving the efficiency of locating and extracting this complex mineral system while addressing ongoing environmental and social challenges. So as the demand for essential metals, particularly copper and gold, continues to arise amidst global technological advancement, IOCG deposits will undeniably play a vital role in supporting economic growth and sustainability. Therefore, ongoing research and innovation in the mining and exploration arenas must prioritize efficiency and ecological responsibility, ensuring that the value resources encapsulated within IOCG deposits contribute positively to future generations. Emphasizing strategic approaches and sustainable practices will be paramount in leveraging these minerals deposits to meet the complex demands of modern society and bolster the global economy. That's all for our presentation. Thank you so much.